What's up, everyone, and welcome to a Wednesday edition of The Squeeze. I am Tyler Conium, and we're back. For all intents and purposes, The Squeeze is back. So, the last time I did long-form videos was back in February. Then I started doing shorts, and then I thought this was sort of the bread and butter of what I wanted to be doing. And if nobody ever watched the videos, that's okay. I wanted to talk about sports and talk about sports betting 4 to 5 days a week on the internet. So here we are. A little bit of a different background. I apologize. The office is in a completely different spot now, so I'm recording this in a different spot. Same background. You are going to notice a bit of the green screen thing. It just is what it is. I'm not going to go out and buy all this expensive equipment for a less than 10-minute podcast just yet. Who knows? We'll see what happens there. Same 3 bets to the side. Got a nice new ticker at the bottom. Now, if you remember, I used to have my betting record down across the bottom there. That's transitioned a little bit. I've always want to be open, transparent with bets that I win, with bets that I lose. I do track all of my bets at Betting Pros on the app. It's all synced. It's all verified. So everything that I bet, whether it's the 3 I talk about in the video, it'll all be on there. So that's where you're going to find all that honesty and all that transparency. Furthermore, obviously, we're getting into the NFL season. There's going to be a ton of people making NFL content, and I will be betting on the NFL, but that's not predominantly what I want these videos to be because it's such a saturated market. We're going to focus on the WNBA. We're going to be focusing on the CFL. We're going to be focusing on the NHL. All that stuff will be sprinkled in. Don't say, I'm never going to talk about the NFL. I will be, but that's sort of not, I don't really think is necessarily the niche because you're going to have everybody else in the world talking NFL football. So there you have that. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you do enjoy these videos, hit the subscribe button there on YouTube. That always helps. You can also follow me on X for all of that stuff as well. We're starting in the WNBA today. Also, I like the fact that now that I can talk all this, I was writing it all out and posting it, and just talking about it is a lot easier than writing it all out. We're going to go to the lone matchup in the WNBA tonight. It's the Los Angeles Sparks against the Indiana Fever. The Fever have been rolling, especially since the Olympic break. They are 8-2. Their only loss came at Minnesota. The Los Angeles Sparks, especially since the loss of Cameron Brinks, they're having a bad season. They're 6-18. I think it's actually going to help them going into next year's draft when they're going to have Brink, and then they're going to be able to add another top draft pick. But I like the Sparks here plus 12.5. Let's talk about it. They've played twice this season. LA actually won the most recent timeout. That was in May. They won by 6, and the Fever won the first matchup by 5, 78-73. But even though the Sparks are only 2-8 in their last 10 games, they're 6-4 against the spread. They did just get blown out by Atlanta. They lost by 18, but they beat the New York Liberty, the best team in the WNBA. They lost to Dallas, Washington, and Connecticut, but they only lost by 3, by 6, and by 8. Now, Connecticut, another one of the better teams in the WNBA. Previous to that, they lost to Las Vegas, but covered the spread. Indiana, you look at, as I mentioned, they're 8-2. They are also 8-2 against the spread, but the spread hasn't been double digits in any of those 10 games. It's been 3, 6.5, 4, was only 1.5 against Atlanta, 5 against Minnesota. The highest the spread has been in their last 10 basketball games was 6.5. That was against Chicago. So, yes, they've been covering the spread, but it hasn't got up that high. LA has played Indiana very well. I also think Indiana, they've won 4 in a row. I hate to say destined for a loss, but they are only 11-15 on the season, so they may be destined for a loss here. I don't know if I would take the Sparks outright, but I do like the Sparks plus 12.5. You're getting that for minus 112, so I like that bet. Let's shift gears now to Major League Baseball. You've got the rubber match in 2 different series that I like. We're starting with the Boston Red Sox and the New York Mets. Both of these teams within 5 games of each other in the regular season. New York has taken the first 2 games of this series. They're playing this at Citi Field in New York, but I don't think the Mets are going to get the sweep here. Boston hasn't been playing very well. They've lost 4 straight games. That was previous to that. They'd won 3 of 4. So I think they're due for a bounce-back game. I think they're due to avoid the sweep. And then when you look at the starting matchup, you've got Tanner Houck going for Boston. He's 1-4 in his last 5, so you might think, oh, you're betting on the guy that's 1-4. But his ERA is only 3.23. He just went 6 innings against Detroit, shut out baseball, struck out 6. He had 1 bad start that came against Arizona. He still went 6 innings. He gave up 6 earned runs in that game, but if you take that out, he's given up 0, 2, 2, and 1. And he's lost these games because of the bullpen. Like, he gave up 2 runs to Texas. The Red Sox lost 9-2. He gave up 1 run in 6 innings against the Astros. They lost 8-4. So he's been pitching very well. And then you look at Tyler McGill going for the New York Mets, a little bit of the opposite. So he just went 5 1/3 against the White Sox. Okay, cool. Everyone in the world beats the White Sox. But he gave up 4 runs to Atlanta. He gave up 4 runs to Houston. He gave up 6 runs to the Cubs. So in his last 5 starts, even though he has a better record, he's got an ERA of 6.2. And he's only averaging 4.2 innings pitched. So I like this game. Boston Red Sox -110. You could also go Boston in the first 5 innings if you don't want to deal with their terrible bullpen. And the last bit of the day, we're going to the St. Louis Cardinals at the Milwaukee Brewers. Sort of the same situation where St. Louis has won the first 2 games of this series, and Milwaukee's playing at home. So I like them to avoid the sweep at home and win this game. They're also better than the St. Louis Cardinals. Milwaukee is 81-58 on the season. Cardinals are 70-69. The reason that St. Louis is a little bit favored here is Sonny Gray. Now, granted, Sonny Gray on the season, he's 12-9 with a 3.96 ERA, but hasn't been great lately. He's got an ERA of 5 in his last 5 starts. He's given up 5 runs to the Minnesota Twins. He gave up 6 runs to the Cincinnati Reds. He's pitched 1 time against Milwaukee this season. Yes, it was all the way back in May, but he went 5 innings, gave up 6 earned runs, and gave up 3 home runs. On the flip side, for the Brewers, you've got Colin Ray. He's been good. He's 4-1 in his last 5 starts. He's 12-4 on the season with a 3.7 ERA. Again, looking to prevent a sweep. He's pitched against St. Louis once this season. That was all the way back in April, but he went 5 innings, struck out 3, gave up 0 earned runs. So I like the Milwaukee Brewers to beat the St. Louis Cardinals here and avoid the sweep. I like the Boston Red Sox to beat the New York Mets and avoid the sweep. And I like the LA Sparks to cover against the Indiana Fever. So sort of all underdog, middle-of-the-road plays here. That's what I like for today. So thank you. Welcome back to the Squeeze. I'm very excited as we progress again, getting into the fall, jazz things up, graphics, all that sort of thing, seeing what we can do here. Audio versions should be on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And let's just talk sports, man. Very excited to be back. Thank you for watching. Let's go.